Hell yeah, brother. Welcome to the podcast, Stop Crying Poser, greatest podcast known to man as voted by everyone who is currently in the chat room. We got Zero or Die, EJ Boogie, INO, Walter the Conqueror, 902 Rider, Liam, Patrick. Zero or Die matches are fun, Blazed Reaper, Infamy, Vulgar Tech, Walter the Conqueror, Arthur, Sup Israel, Liam Patrick, Solidiosis, Dan Dar, 902 Rider, maybe even a few other friendly, familiar faces tuned in for the podcast Stop Crying Poser right here on twitch.tv/Ninja Lifestyle every single Friday right around 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. I hope you guys are doing well. One thing that sets this podcast apart from all the other podcasts is free sticker giveaway based on your knowledge of the world. Would you like to be the proud new owner of a Ninja Lifestyle sticker pack mailed directly to you if you live in the United States? Well, all you have to do is answer our trivia question correctly. So get ready, chatters. Based on landmass, what is the smallest country in the world? It measures just 0.2 square miles, almost 120 times smaller than the island of Manhattan. Situated on the western bank of the Tiber River, its 2-mile border is landlocked by Italy. 902 Rider says France. Once again, you are always incorrect. Solidiosis says Guatemala. I don't even know what the fuck you're thinking. Liam Patrick says Vatican City. He is the correct answer. iBookBoy also got it right. Vulgar Tech said Rome. Walter the Conqueror said Paris, which is not even a country, you dumb idiot. The winner is Liam Patrick with Vatican City. Liam, talk to me on a DM on Instagram or Facebook or something like that so I can get your information and get you the prize. That's what you guys get for tuning in live. This podcast is live every Friday, so every week you get a chance to win. If you didn't win, then I'm sorry for you. It's been an eventful week this week, something that we don't talk about enough in our society. I pooped my pants. That's right, I was watching a speed run on Twitch. This guy, Captain Canuck, was just about to get the speed run world record for a game called Jigoku 2, and I was on the edge of my seat, so much so that I said, oh no, is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is? Fucking stood up, I kind of got up there, get some air in my butt, and I thought, yep, I can feel it. That liquid gang done snuck up from behind, came out the back door, and it was just enough to make a little sploop on my boxers. And it's something that happens in life. You know what? I'm getting to that age now where I should stop pretending that it's offensive to shit your pants. It's something you got to deal with at some point. I did it when I was a baby, and that's just the circle of life. You start out as a baby, you start out shitting your pants, and you know what the last thing you do is right when you die? You poop your fucking pants. Circle of life, motherfuckers. I'm getting closer and closer to death. I'm trying to get that LSD. What is that? DMT. That's what it was. J-Rock knows. He's a real drug addict degenerate. Yeah, I got a real DMT moment going. Shit my pants. Snuck sneakily through my house into the bathroom. Got it figured out. Also, I had to sit there and look at my shit pants because after I shit my pants, I realized, oh, I have to take a humongous liquid shit. So while I'm sitting my liquid shit just going crazy, I'm looking down in shame at my fucking doo-doo boxers. I feel like once a year here on the podcast is going to be a story of me shitting my pants. It's like the anniversary. By the way, this is episode number 116. So we've been doing this for a while. I hope you guys are entertained. We've made some upgrades. Remember the back in the way back days when I had the headset on? Fucking broke, bitch. Now we done upgraded to the microphone. So afterwards, I took my boxers, I snuck through the kitchen while my girlfriend's watching TV, snuck in there, found a grocery bag, put it in there, tied it up, threw it outside, went outside, put it in the trash, made sure nobody was looking around my neighbors, like, it's not shit, it's not doo-doo, it's something else, it's a Hot Pocket that went bad, that's what it is, it's not doo-doo, I didn't doo-doo. Figured we'd start out the podcast with a little bit of comic relief before we get into the real racial topics of the day. A lot of racial topics today because our country is feeling more and more divided every single day that I look at the news and I look at Facebook. Interestingly, though, in my friend group, in my immediate friend group, no division at all. Everyone's just going on with their life, happy. Everyone loves everybody. Certainly no reason not to protest, but I don't see any division among my immediate friends. All I do is I see it all over Facebook. It's kind of getting like sickening, right? Am I the only one that gets so much negativity? Once you read too much, you start to just be like, dude, I can't deal with this. I think they had a South Park episode like that where Butters had to read all of Cartman's emails or something, and it was all so negative that he started to feel sick. That's how I feel now. I feel like every time I look on Facebook, it's just going to be one more sad story or one more person just complaining. And I'm not saying there's nothing to complain about, but it's just so much bad news every day. Makes it hard to remain positive. That being said, let's go with our first news article today. Our first and only news article. The TV show Cops was canceled, and I'm outraged. I'm not really outraged, but I do watch Cops a lot, and initially I had no idea why it got canceled, but we do have some theories and some ideas, and we're going to go over that today, just in case you guys were maybe in the same mindset as me, like not understanding why or how this helps or what it does. So let's first read the article, and then I'll explain to you guys my process to understanding this interesting phenomenon. So the headline reads, Cops hooked viewers and angered critics for decades. Now it's canceled amid protests over police brutality. In 1989, media outlets nationwide clamored to cover the debut of Cops. The documentary-style crime program promised an intimate look at the daily lives of law enforcement officers, marked one of the earliest forays into reality TV, and many at the time couldn't get enough. I like the way this is written. This is written like an exciting story. Vice was nice, but Cops is tops, read the headline on one Boston Globe article comparing the reality show, which aired on Fox 2, quote, Miami Vice, the wildly popular NBC series that was approaching the end of its 5-season run. Having no script to follow and no ponderous narration diluting its drama, Cops delivers real-life TV that is as straightforward as a nightstick to the kidneys? What the fuck? Wait a minute, what are we talking about here? Can we skip to the protest part of it? On Tuesday, Cops, which was scheduled to premiere its 33rd season this month, came to an unceremonious end after it was canceled amid widespread protests against racism and police brutality sparked by George Floyd's death. Floyd, a black man, died last month in Minneapolis after a white police officer knelt on his neck for nearly 9 minutes while he was handcuffed on the ground. See, I already get like a weird bias here because, can we discuss this? And please, I hate having to tiptoe over this. Please don't call me racist, but if the news says a black man is on the loose for killing someone, people go, why's he got to be black? Why do you got to mention his race? Why do you got to mention his race in the article? What do you mean? What's up with that? Why are you mentioning his race? But then we have one like this, and it's like, they mention him here, and it's good. It's okay. No, people need to know. People need to know what happened. People need to know that it was a black man and a white officer. They need to know. But if it's another situation, it's, man, why are you talking about it? Why are you bringing that up? I feel like when I read it like this in this context, I feel like I'm on my way to understand a bias that I don't know about yet. Let's continue. Oh my goodness. Cops is not on the Paramount network, and we don't have any current or future plans for it to return, a spokesman for the show's current network said. The formerly Spike TV, blah, 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 blah. Tuesday's announcement was widely praised by critics of the show and comes after episodes stopped airing on Paramount earlier this month. Similar shows, such as A&E's Live PD, which follows police in real time, and Body Cam on Discovery's ID channel also had episodes pulled by their respective networks in recent days. Okay, I'm looking for the reason here. That's what I'm looking for in this article. I'm not saying it's not helpful. I'm not saying it doesn't show support, but I'm wondering how. I want to be informed how. Let's continue. Cops was the brainchild of blah, blah, blah. They're just talking about the creators. They're talking more about it. Let's continue. By 1989, millions of people around the country were listening to the telltale opening strains of Bad Boys. So the article, is this actually about what's going on, or are you just telling me the history of the show Cops? Here we go. While early media coverage of the show's first few episodes were mostly positive, some were quick to raise concerns. Quote, the dominant image is hammered home again and again. The overwhelmingly white troops of police are the good guys. The bad guys are overwhelmingly black. I've never noticed that when watching Cops. I typically just watch Cops just so I can see the episodes in Las Vegas. And in my experience, everyone in Las Vegas is a crackhead or a prostitute going to jail for prostitution or something like that. That's generally every time it's on Vegas, it's a fucking prostitute. And they're overwhelmingly white. Weird, but I do see how this is actually a really good point. Little is said about the ultimate sources of the drugs, and nothing is mentioned about Florida's periodic scandals in which the police themselves are found to be trafficking in drugs. So this is probably in '89 when most of the episodes were in Florida, and this is actually a really good point. I had not considered this. One Los Angeles Times review noted that, quote, the camera assumes the disgusting role of hanging judge by prematurely filling the screen with faces of numerous suspects swept up in drug busts, some of whom may turn out to be innocent or may even go uncharged for all we know. I don't see how that's damaging. You know, if you were caught in the drug house with 7 people and only 2 of you end up guilty, I mean, you're still in the fucking drug house, and what's the worst that could happen? You just showed up on TV. I don't know of anyone who showed up to a job interview like, yeah, I would love to work here. Cooking is my life. I went to culinary school. I just graduated a year ago. Wait a minute. Are you that guy who was in the background of the drug bust on an episode of Cops that aired 4 years ago? I knew that was you, you piece of shit. You piece of shit. You're never going to cook chicken fingers in this town again, you bitch. I don't feel like that's ever been a thing. Anyways, let's continue. In 2004, a paper examining episode was published in the peer review. I can't fucking read this. What is this talking about? Oh, wait, it's actually, okay, this is important. Never mind. I'll continue the read. I can't read, guys. I have ADD or something. In 2004, a paper examining episodes was published in the peer-reviewed Western Journal of Communication, and researchers observed that Cops disproportionately showed people of color as perpetrators of serious crimes. Now that I can get behind. That can be a problem. Then again, okay, not to be devil's advocate here, but if that's the way that it's going, you know what I mean? If they're going out and filming for a week and they just happen to not be able to catch any white dudes, you know, doing something wrong, that's just how that fucking episode's gonna go. I'm sure they'll catch some white dudes the next episode. Then again, I mean, it's kind of like we're watching like a little mini documentary, but see, I always argue with myself because I start to say something and I start to say, yeah, but then, yeah, but this. You know, I start to say, hey, look, dude, if all the black people are committing the serious crimes and that's what they're showing, then that's just how this documentary is going. Then again, I'm also thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. What if they're just letting all the white dudes go? That could be possible. That's certainly a possibility, you know? Or maybe all the white dudes they arrest that are fucking beating their wives, maybe they're just not that interesting. You know, maybe they just go, yep, take me to jail. Take me to jail, asshole. You know, there's not always going to be a struggle. And then that leads me to believe that, hey, wait a minute, maybe fucking these cops are more likely to struggle people of color. Maybe they're more likely to get physical. And then that therein lies our the heart of our problem is that cops are fucking unfair. So in my mind, I'm kind of having the debate right now. And there's not really, I don't feel like it's easy for me to take a side not knowing, you know, what this peer-reviewed thing says, but it's definitely something interesting that I hadn't considered before. So let's continue reading. By the way, guys, this is not planned. I'm reading this for the first time ever. I don't plan the podcast out. I don't plan exactly what direction my mind's going to go. Let's continue. Programs like Cops serve to, quote, justify controversial police practices and implicitly justifies the practice of racial profiling. Maybe. I guess if they really are just only showing minorities, then I guess kind of, yeah, I guess that does make sense. Let's continue. In that many viewers experience and understand law enforcement and crime through these reality TV programs, these shows teach audiences to view certain police practices as legitimate and certain social groups as deviant. So I think you kind of, hear me out on this. I think you already kind of had a problem. I think you might have already been like sort of racist or racially insensitive. If you watched Cops and that made you like not trust black people, then I feel like you already had a problem. I don't feel like Cops did that. I feel like it was already in your mind from your upbringing, your parents, from your social circle or whatever. I don't think Cops is the reason that people hate black people. It could be. It's possible. You can't really... That's something that can't be proven with just a simple science experiment, So I can see, like, the concern, but it really is an interesting take. And like I said earlier, this is not something that I expected to read here. So let's go ahead and continue. I mean, part of it also is, this could be like the white privilege speaking, but every time I see a white dude get arrested and locked up on there, I don't go, man, that was fucked up. I just think to myself, man, like, that dude committed a crime, now he goes to jail. In fact, as a kid, what Cops taught me, which probably was not the case, is that if you run from cops, you're going to get caught. That's mainly what Cops taught me. Although later in life, I discovered that was, in fact, a lie. I think that's what I learned. And when I watched it, I wasn't really like motivated by the color of the criminals. Then again, I think what they're talking about here is sort of a subliminal kind of message, right? So let's continue. What we found is that Cops is edited far more problematically than it lets on, that it consistently presents excessive force as good policing, and that its structural reinforcement of racial stereotypes about criminality, what a long sentence, raises questions about the ethics of continuing to let the show remain on the air. That was from Dan Taberski, that quote. So I think that's true. Okay, because we look at Cops, we call it kind of like a mini documentary, but it's also there for entertainment. So let's say I read a stat the other day that they filmed something like 400 hours of footage just so they can make a 23-minute episode. Okay, if we only filmed 1 hour of that Cops shift and we had to make a 23-minute episode, it would be boring as fuck, right? It would be a bunch of people getting pulled over, not having a stolen car, and everything would be fine, and everyone would go on with their way. Or it would be a bunch of people complying and just saying, I don't have a license, go ahead and take me to jail, the end. It wouldn't be a hit show. So although I know that they edit this to be exciting, I don't feel like, and I could be wrong here, this could be the white privilege showing again, I don't feel like the editors are going through saying, bring up that black clip again. Bring up that one. Let's get the Mexican guy. There is a white guy that beat his wife. Let's save that one for next episode. Give me the black guy, the Mexican guy. Give me the crack guy, and one more Mexican. How about that? And then let's make that this week's episode. Oh, you got it? Cool. Okay, good. Remember, don't show the white guy. I don't feel like that's what's happening in the editing bay. I mean, it could be, but I don't feel like that's how it is. Maybe that is how it is. And again, on that note, maybe that part is subliminal also. So this just goes on to explain more, and that was basically the end of the article. Let's read the last thing, the last quote here. It is exploitative of those unwillingly filmed and broadcast, and it contributes to the glorification of overly aggressive and violent police tactics. Buffy Wicks, a Democrat who serves in the California State Assembly, said it needs to end. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against criminals being unwillingly filmed, right? That's why we have security cameras in the first place. Also, I don't hear anybody complaining on To Catch a Pedophile. You know what I mean? When that shit comes on and no one feels for the pedophile, and also sometimes those motherfuckers get the fuck beat up by cops too. And those are always white guys. That's, you know what, man? White people, can we quit being pedophiles, man? Can we have a heart-to-heart for a moment here? Can all people quit being pedophiles? Jesus Christ. But I think I'm not against criminals being unwillingly filmed. It's kind of just goes with the territory. Then again, it shouldn't damage the rest of your life, and I can see how it would, because there's definitely been some episodes of Cops that have stood out in my mind. I'm really bad with faces, but a lot of people are really good with faces. Like Tex, if he sees somebody's face one time, he knows them forever. So I could imagine him being like, "Oh yeah, you're that guy that was selling crack and then shit your pants and then hit the cop and then the dog bit you." Like that was 5 years ago, man. I have a wife and kids now, asshole. Why are you bringing that shit up? I could see how that would be a big deal. So, anyways, along with this article, which I just only read right now, I wrote on Twitter, "Hey, can somebody help me understand this?" I wrote, "Did canceling Cops, the TV show, help in some way? This isn't a sarcastic question. If anyone has some information or even a theory, I am open to hear it." And somebody responded with some words of wisdom. They said, "I'm not sure the cancellation was meant to, quote, help, as much as to show support, which is fine in my opinion. People can be mad about a show being canceled, but they should be more upset with how the police are treating people that they're supposed to protect." I had to respond, "Oh, I had not considered that." I think that was the perfect answer, and that was all I was really looking for. And I think that makes perfect sense. It's more to show support. And I was thinking, oh, maybe Cops will come back a little bit reformed, a little bit more, it'll make more sense, right? It'll be more equal or whatever. It'll show more happy stories. Maybe it could come back. But then again, I think to myself, you know what, dude? Maybe not. Maybe it shouldn't come back. Another opinion I didn't really care for is people said Cops is only there to fucking be entertaining, and it's only there to show negative shit, and it's only there to be bad, and it's all entertainment, and it doesn't really show what's really going on. And you're right. It's not a perfect representation of reality because it's meant to be entertainment. But one thing you can't deny is the shit that happens on Cops did happen. I think if I told you the story, "Hey dude, I was on a traffic stop." Let's pretend I'm the cop. I was on a traffic stop, and this guy, I found an ounce of cocaine in his lap while he was driving a stolen car, and he told me that he believed the wind blew it into his car. He had his window down, and the wind blew an ounce of cocaine into his car. If I told you that story, you'd go, "Man, this cop is exaggerating. This fucking guy, no criminal would ever say that shit." Now you watch Cops, you go, "Oh shit, this really does happen." That being said, it took 400 hours of filming to find that one crazy criminal. But I think that without documentation, a lot of the stories that you would see and the stories that have been shown on Cops might not be believable. So in that aspect, I kind of like it. And it's not all about like portraying something negative. It's kind of like in my Ninja reviews. If you do a toe drag, if I call it out, a lot of people go, "Why are you calling out the toe drag, man? Why are you calling out the toe drag? Why are you so mean? Why are you so negative?" And I say like, dude, I'm not being negative about the toe drag. It happened. There's no opinion here. There's no positive toe drag or negative toe drag. It's a fact. It happened. And I'm just calling it out, which is kind of what Cops is doing. Things happen and it's showing them. I think the problem with Cops, though, that we've discovered from this article is that the problem is in the editing room, essentially. Back in the day, Vegas had a show called Bumfights, and basically all it showed was teenagers beating the shit out of each other, and then it also showed just bums living and fighting, a bunch of bums doing drugs. It showed some of the creators of Bumfights, like just kind of fucking with them, paying them to do dumb shit. A lot of people were offended because it was just really just mean, nasty stuff. And when those guys got national attention, what they said on the news when they had a platform to speak is they said, "Hey, listen, a lot of this shit happens whether we're filming or not. That's why we're filming it. Because a lot of people don't know that bums are out here stabbing each other every night. A lot of people don't know what it looks like for a crackhead to spend $4 on on crack and, just fucking smoking and go crazy in the middle of the street at 5 in the morning. A lot of people hear about that shit, but they don't see it, and they just kind of like pretend it doesn't exist. And that's partially what Bumfights said their purpose was to show what's happening, much like the toe drag, much like cops. So I think if Bumfights had a resurgence, I think it would have the same, even though it has sort of like a positive message, I think it would be met with the same feelings as cops. Like, hey, dude, why are you only showing mostly black people smoking crack, dude? What are you guys, fucking racially motivated here? And I think we're getting to that point now where we're looking at everything under a microscope, and if you twist the narrative and you twist the words of anything just right, you can kind of make anything racist. And for example, I heard that Paw Patrol, some TV show for children, might get taken off of the air. And I don't know if that was a meme or a joke. I couldn't really confirm it. But I heard that the argument for that was because it shows cops being nice. And in real life, cops aren't nice. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Nice cops in a cartoon offends people? Like, now I think we're really reaching. I can see the logical argument. Why? Because those cops don't represent what's happening on the streets right now, because cops are really getting out of hand. That's what these protests are all about. But to take off a children's show just because cops are being nice, I feel like you're really overreaching to things that need to be reformed. And also, I've noticed lately, and I don't want you guys to take me out of context again, but the word racist, just calling people racists for no reason, is getting really, really crazy. You could get called racist now for following an actor on like Twitter, right? Like if I follow The Rock or whatever, who's like not even a white guy, and he says something weird, suddenly I could be literally called a racist person for following him. And it's like, wait a minute. You remember back in the day when they tried to do that whole shit with like the word rape? Like you'd have one person who had been like violently raped by an ex-boyfriend, just tortured and raped, and then you had one person who had been catcalled while walking to Starbucks, and they both considered themselves rape victims. And you say to yourself, wait a minute, one of you's really, really reaching right now, and what you're doing is diluting the word rape to be less powerful. I feel like that's kind of what's happening with the word racist. Now a racist is anyone who disagrees with you. You don't like the president that I was thinking of voting for? I mean, let's not bring Donald Trump into this, because now we're going to talk about everything. But let's say you don't like this TV show that I like just because it has a different political stance. You don't like The Daily Show. You like, what is the other one? The other one on fucking Comedy. So you like that one? Well, that means you're racist. You follow that guy on Twitter, you're racist. I've been getting this on Facebook all the time. Hey, everyone on Facebook, I don't agree with this guy, so if he's your mutual friend, you're racist. And it's like, whoa, dude, you guys are really making this word mean anything. Racist now just means disagree. There are racist people out there, and I think that with education we can start to have the talk. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that through communication that I've even been schooled on, and it's a lot easier to teach someone through dialogue than just say, you're racist, blocked. You're racist, blocked. Then again, if we're using the actual definition of the word racist, then yeah, motherfucker, block them hoes. Get these motherfuckers out of here. Anyways, that's all we'll do for that topic. We talked about that for almost half the fucking show. And there's even more shit similar to that we're going to talk about. Stevie Williams versus Weckingball, but we'll save that for the end. Let's continue. I noticed the other day I was watching the UFC. This guy knocked out another guy, climbed up on the cage, and did a backflip. He looked behind him, made sure there was nobody there, and did a backflip. And I see that happen all the time. Justin Gaethje does it all the time. If he knocks somebody out, he runs up on the cage, does a backflip. I've seen several times where there's been some real close calls. Somebody does a backflip, and they almost hit a medic, right? Also, I feel like it's not really like, it's not a super humble trait to knock someone out and then get up and do a backflip while they're struggling to remain, like, to gain consciousness back. Like, look at me, I'm backflipping. Look at you. Like, you're fucking very badly hurt right now. Wow. And I fear that one day someone's going to climb up on the cage, do a backflip, land on a medic, or land on a a judge or a ref or something get smashed, and then there's going to be 2 people in the ring like hurt, plus the guy who did the backflip is probably going to be hurt if he didn't land it right, turning this shit into a fucking moonsault. And I'm just bringing this up on the podcast because I want you guys to remember that I said it. I want you guys to remember that I said one day there's going to be a UFC backflip and it's going to fuck somebody up. And I just want you guys to know that I psychically am predicting it. So next topic. I don't know if you guys have seen the TV show Lil Dicky. I think it's on Netflix or Hulu or something. It's pretty good. I think it's only like 10 episodes. It's about this rapper, this Jewish white rapper. Oh, Jewish white rapper. Racist. Clearly racist. Clearly it's a show about racism. It's a pretty good show, but I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but basically Lil Dicky is a rapper and he thinks he's going to be the greatest rapper ever. He really has a lot of confidence, and I wanted to use him as an example of confidence versus cockiness. This guy didn't want to sign $1 million deal, whatever, on the show because he felt like he was meant for something bigger. And that's a lot of confidence, but that's also a lot of cockiness. And I remember him saying something along the lines of, I know that I'm going to be great. I know that I'm going to be one of the greatest. I'm going to be one of the top 5 rappers ever. I know this for a fact, and that's how I'm going to make my business decisions. And I thought to myself, wow, that's pretty fucking cocky. Then again, I feel like people at the top, let's use Nyjah Houston as an example. I feel like people at the top, let's be fair. Nyjah is the best skateboarder out right now, and he has been the best skateboarder out for at least 5 years. Okay, and I was one of the biggest haters. Some of my hate was for jokes, but I also didn't think that he would ever become as good as he did, and he did. And I don't think that it's because of cockiness he says this shit right now. I think it's because only Nyjah Houston knows how fucking hard he grinded and how hard he worked to get to this point. So I think for you to say, oh, you're being cocky, you're doing that from the perspective of someone who hasn't dedicated your entire life to something. So it seems cocky, right? Things can seem cocky when you don't know how much work went into it. You know, Nyjah Houston didn't just get magically blessed with these skills, right? He fucking worked really hard, took a lot of slams, ate a lot of shit, and has done this all in the face of nothing but people talking shit. So is it cocky for him to say that he's the best, or know that he's the best, or know that he belongs in the skating Hall of Fame? I don't think so. And I thought about that a little bit about Lil Dicky, and I get the same idea. I think that only this guy knows what it's like to be a guy that probably should have not succeeded and then did, right? In the chat, you guys are talking about Nas. Nas did that. He held out on signing with a label for years. Nas is a legend, though. Nas was selling out clubs just on word of mouth. Well, that being said, being a great rapper, being a great artist, you know, a writer and performer, it's not something you just magically get blessed with. He probably grinded and grinded and grinded. And him also probably in the beginning, it was in the face of a lot of people that said, you'll never fucking do it. So for us to throw people into their prospective Hall of Fames and then call them cocky, I think that's done strictly based off not understanding the process. And I felt like I thought of all that shit this morning, and I felt like it was worth saying, and I wanted to maybe get your guys' thoughts on it. iBookBoy says Nyjah needs to be a nicer guy, but his skills are undeniable. I don't know if he's mean or cocky or what. I don't know if he's a cool guy. I've actually never met that dude, but I do have a couple videos of me talking about him in a negative light. But most of those were just for attention, for me to get views and shit like that. Speaking of that, let's talk about Ninja reviews. I think I'm one of the fucking greatest people to ever review skateboarding. And you might call that cocky, but motherfucker, we've been doing this shit for like 5 years now. And when I started, I probably wasn't that good, but I've put so much time in now that I feel like very few people out there could do it better than me. Maybe I'm wrong, but the reason I have this confident, cocky attitude isn't because I just think I was naturally gifted at talking shit on skateboarders. I think it's because I put in so much time, so much more time than anyone else on earth. There's no one else on earth who has criticized skateboarding live on camera as much as me. I don't think there's anyone there. And you know what happens? Once I do it for so often, I get better and better and better, even though I get kind of repetitive, of course. But I don't think there's anyone who could do that particular thing better than me. So basically, I'm as good as Lil Dicky and Nija. That's what this conversation was about. Oh, Vulgar says there's a thin line between one man's confidence and another man's conceit. Maybe. That sounds like some wise shit, but I don't really know what it means. Anyways, that's all I got on that topic. Hopefully it motivates you guys a little bit to continue grinding, continue working hard. Because without the hard work, you're just really just playing the lottery. And sometimes it works. You know, Chanel West Coast is famous somehow. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Maybe, I don't know. Somewhere in the middle. Maybe I'm kidding. Let's quickly discuss this Stevie Williams Weckingball beef. Maybe I can sum it up for you guys. I'm going to try to sum it up. So Weckingball is this internet guy who talks shit on all the pro skaters. Most of you probably know who he is. He calls out pro skaters all day long, and he kind of plays a character like me, where he kind of just... every trick needs to be perfect. He calls out people who scrape on manuals and toe drags and things like that. He does it a little more hateful than me, but I think people respond the same. Some people really love it, and some people really hate it, much like Ninja Review. But this guy does it in a much more in-your-face way. He does it more in an uninvited way. When I talk shit on somebody on Ninja Review, it was invited. Like, they asked me to talk shit to them. Weckingball kind of does it to anyone and everyone around him. So he called out Stevie Williams maybe like a year ago. It was a long time ago, on Stevie Williams dragging his nose on switch nose manuals and shit like that. So he's been, his game plan is kind of like this. He kind of pokes you and pokes you and pokes you and pokes you until you respond, and then he kind of turns it into an internet beef. Just pokes and pokes and pokes, tries to rile you up, right? And I've seen him do it to a lot of pros over the years. Stevie Williams could not really keep his poker face, right? Poker face, poke. He fucking got mad, and he got real vocal about it, and they had a real little war on Instagram, and eventually it died down, and then it sped up again. And at some point, here's where the new controversy starts. Weckingball says, hey, I found your mom's Instagram. She looks like a crackhead. And then you think, wow, that's pretty hateful. That's terrible. The internet went crazy. They said, wow, he's racist because he said crackhead. I don't know. I don't think the word crackhead's racist. In fact, as we talked about this during the pre-show, the vast majority, if not like a huge majority of crackheads that I've seen over the years were all white people. And somebody was in the chat saying in their town in Florida that most of the crackheads were Hispanic. So to hear the word crackhead and go, yep, definitely talking about black people, what a racist. I feel like, again, we're kind of going back. We're circling now to what we talked about earlier. You're really reaching to call somebody racist. Not to say that he's not racist, but I think to call that a racial comment, in my opinion, is a little bit overboard. I think what when the line was crossed is when you fucking you called out this man's mom. You could have called her anything. You could have said she has crooked hair or something. You could have said she looks weird. You could have said she smells. No matter what the fuck you say about this man's mom, it's on. You've crossed the line, right? Not only that, he linked her Instagram. Now, somehow, someone went onto Stevie Williams' mom's Instagram and called her the N-word. Yeah, that's when it gets really deep. Stevie Williams then, I want to tell the story right. I could be wrong on some of these details. I've only known about this for a few days, and the only research I've done is looking at people's Instagram stories. Stevie Williams responds a few weeks later saying, Weckingball called my mom a crackhead, and then shortly later made a fake account and then posted the N-word on her account. Because his reasoning is, like, what are the odds? You know my mom's Instagram and then some racial shit shows up there? What are the odds? It must be you. Now, for most logical people, they think to themselves, well, Weckingball has a ton of fans, and he doesn't seem like he would say that. Maybe he would to stoke the fire. Possible, but that's also a huge reach to just say, a random Instagram said this, it must be you. I think that's a big stretch. And I also think that the timing is in poor taste, because Stevie could have said all this shit 2 weeks ago, right? Before all this racial tension, and he said it now, and it's got people really, really angry, and they're really picking sides. I think from my perspective, not to be a dick or not to not believe what's going on, but I feel like you call somebody's mom a crackhead, you know what? If Stevie's homies see you somewhere and beat your fucking ass, then justice was served, okay? But I also feel like to turn this into a witch hunt and to then make Weckingball seem racist about this, I feel like that's a little overboard, And not only is it overboard, it really could destroy what this guy's worked for to create. And a lot of people's response to that is, well, he's been super negative for his entire, his job is to be negative and tear people down. So why the fuck should his accomplishments matter? Well, as sort of a fellow character, as a fellow sort of internet troll, right? It is work, It has become this guy's job to make people laugh. And the fact that he said called your mom a crackhead in the DMs certainly warrants him getting his ass beat or something along those lines, or at least some sort of static, along those lines. But for you to call this guy out and call him racist and make your entire platform, like all of Stevie's fans now, totally believe Weckingball is racist just because a random account said something bad on his mom's page. So that's the first half of the story. Weckingball pleaded with Stevie, please take this down. People now think I'm racist because they blindly believe what you say, right? So then it became even more deeper. Then Weckingball, after being denied over and over and over again by Stevie would not delete the post. He kept the post up. He kept his fans continuously believing that Weckingball was racist. Then Weckingball released all of the DMs. And what it turned out to be is that as far as being racially insensitive, Stevie Williams was wildly more racially insensitive than Weckingball. Weckingball, according to his side of the story, never said anything racial at all to Stevie Williams, versus Stevie Williams making fun of Weckingball's race over and over and over and over again. You guys can find that somewhere on Instagram and look it up yourself. But it's an interesting story. I think it was really in poor taste to take advantage of the BLM movement right now just to make Weckingball look racist. But then again, I kind of see both sides. You talk shit on somebody's mom, it's kind of like all rules are out, Art of war, man, no rules. So I see how it spiraled out of control, but it's not helping unite skateboarders at all. Then again, when has Weckingball ever been the kind of guy to help unite skateboarders? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it is an interesting story. And if you guys haven't heard it, you guys can check it out. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube and I missed a couple of details or messed them up, feel free to correct me, because I do this live, and it's not really a news show. It's more just a show for me to hang out with you guys. Sup Israel says, Ninja's a mama's boy. I'm certainly not. If my mom died tomorrow, I don't think I'd really care that much at all. I'm the opposite of a mama's boy. I have the worst mom of all time. Anyways, let's go ahead and shout out everyone who's here live in the chat. Go ahead and give me a hell yeah in the chat so that I can shout out all you guys who came to support. If you tuned in late, don't matter. The podcast comes out on Sunday on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube, so check it out then. I prefer you guys tune in live because we have a good time here, right? Good gay old time with me and all my male friends. That's right. So shout out to Zero or Die, Walter the Conqueror, iBook Boy, Vulgar Tech, 902 Rider, Geiges, Liam Patrick, Venus, Die Traps, and more. Also, shout out to Blazed Reaper for his resubscribe at the beginning of the podcast. Also, shout out to Venus Die Traps for the $10 donation. That was really nice of you. I appreciate everybody who tunes in live. If you want to help the podcast, Venus Die Traps donated $10, but you don't have to. All you have to do is tell a friend about the podcast. Maybe say, hey, this podcast is pretty interesting. I recommend not showing them this particular episode because, you know what, dude, when we talk about the race things, it's always like I'm always like a little bit intimidated because I know it only takes one slip up, something's going to get taken out of context or edited a certain way, and then I know I'm completely fucked. So since our country is so racially divided right now, and that's all the fuck that's in the news, I feel like I'm really on the chopping block here. So I appreciate everybody for being cool. And if I ever say something that offends you or that you think was insensitive, just send me a DM. Like I said earlier, I think education works more than trying to shame me for saying something that I possibly didn't mean. I don't think we're quite getting that controversial just yet, but I want to throw that out there just so we can be prepared and so you guys can know. I try to attack these stories with not too much bias at all, but like I said, I do this live. Mistakes can be made, and we're just going to keep doing it the way we fucking do it. Stick around, guys. The post show will be next, and I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out. You guys are the greatest. I will see you guys next time. Tune in next week, Friday, podcast 3:30, twitch.tv/Ninja Lifestyle. Stop crying, poser. Let's play that motherfucking outro, motherfucker. What?